As Bidenomics worsens, will the Grinch steal Christmas? And some predictions. Hello, this is ChartGPT today. Yes, there was a good print on the GDP for the final Q3. Is bounced high over 5%. And it's kind of a head scratcher. People kind of just looked at it and the markets didn't really affect it too much because nobody's really believing it. And remember, GDP is backward looking. Look at the AI, and you can ask it whether or not GDP is a lagging indicator or not. Anyway, the current GDP now from Atlanta Fed there is tracking down around 1%. So we're going to have a pretty good drop off here in Q4. Christmas is turning out to be a bit flat, so we'll see. But it's a tale of two cities. Even though that Q3 print was really good, there's a lot of signs here that's saying there's trouble in the Bidenomics program here, and as well as some of the numbers coming out are not looking good. Here's kind of the biggest thing that most people are complaining about. Even though the rate of inflation is coming down, prices are still up there pretty high, and people are still choking on these prices. Hospital services almost doubled since 2008. College tuitions, child care, medical care, food, drink, housing, they're all up, almost 50%. I don't think people's salaries have gotten nowhere near that. Even the CPI is at 42%. There's a few things that are cheaper if you're buying a lot of TVs and mobile phones and toys and software and things like that. But that's not something you need every day, per se. And TVs last a long time. But for the most part, things are really expensive out there, and people are choking on that, and that's what's really hurting most people on the main street, so to speak. Housing affordability is another one. It's down at almost all-time lows. The ability to own a home is ridiculous with the high interest rates, or relatively high interest rates and prices. It's just making a lot of housing out of reach of most people. And then we look at the some of the business issues. Global office space is at record highs, and of course this is after COVID. Everybody's supposed to be back in the office now. No more of this working at home, aka Elon Musk. So, and it's pretty significant there. So and it's global there, even on a worldwide basis, down as much as 50%. Then here's the banks. Sometimes looking at the banks, whether they're healthy or not. You can see here's the unrealized losses. Most of those are those bonds that they're sitting on. So they're sitting on huge losses there that eventually is going to have to be worked off somehow. And then we look at the government. Government's not doing well either. Imagine every dollar it takes in, it's going to have to spend 35%. In interest rates, pay those high interest rates, which is phenomenal. So this is going to leading to more government spending and more inflation in the out years. Looking at predictions here, this is a chart we've had. It's a little bit off, but we're kind of sticking with it here. Around about that 5%, we thought we'd peak there. We have pretty much peaked. We're coming off. I'll use the 2-year Treasury as a bogey. Maybe that's a little bit too aggressive on the downside, but it's going to be coming down into the election. Surprise, surprise. And then after that, all bets are off. We could be back to the races with inflation kicking back in, as well as hiking in rates if the inflation kicks back. Of course, we got all these wars and a lot of geopolitical things going on. So, if that happens, all bets are off. Here's kind of an interesting chart from Wall Street's crystal ball for 2024. JP Morgan is looking like we're going to be down or at least flat. There's a few up there. Deutsche Bank, Bank of America are thinking we're going to new highs. So that's just kind of a meager picture. Of course, here was ours. We think that there's a risk to the downside, but it's only 23%. Of course, that's again the geopolitical risk. But for the most part, we think that's going to be heading up. So we're pretty much in agreement with most of those banks. That's what we've said. We're going to stick with those predictions. Now, you can take our poll online. Go to the description box. Are you worried about the 2024 economy? We shall see. Now, don't forget to subscribe.